Hello, beautiful people. You're welcome back. So we'll be drafting for the back bodies of our off shoulder. The back for these back bodies, we'll be using a dart, ordinary dart on the back bodies. So I have my lines. I'm drafting on this fabric is a lining, and I have my lines already ruled out. I'm dropping my off shoulder by 5 inches. I'm dropping my off shoulder by 5 inches. This is the bust line. I have 10.5 as the bust line. The waistline of 17 inches. The hip line 23.5. I have 23.5 for the hip line. The blouse length of 25.5, and I have 26.5 for the allowance. This will be for the allowance. Okay, I'm taking 1.5 for my zipper allowance. I'm using 1.5 for the zipper allowance. The first thing I'll be doing here is to take out my darts. The bust span I'm working with is 4.5. I'm going to connect these 3 points. On the waistline, I'll be taking ½ inch on both sides. ½ inch on both sides. I'll be connecting this to this point. The material is kind of silky, so I'm just trying to be careful with it. I'm not extending the dart to the blouse length. I'm not extending the dart to the blouse length. So I'll just be holding this for my darts. Okay, so I haven't taken out the darts. I'll then proceed to take out my measurements. The shoulder measurement I'm working with is 16 inches. Divided by 2 will give me 8. Because it's an off shoulder, you wouldn't want to make an off shoulder blouse that will be falling off our shoulder. So I'll be going in by 2.5. I'll be going in by 2.5. That's 2.5. I'll then be adding half-inch sewing allowance to it. So when I had my half-inch, I have 6 inches. On this 6 inches point, on this 6 inches point, I'll be taking my armhole. The armhole I'm working with is 8.5. I'll then take my bust measurements. I'll take my bust measurement on the armhole line. The bust measurement is 41.5 divided by 4. I can use 10.5 because that was what I used for the front piece. I'll use 10.5. Please note that I am starting my measurements from this line after I've taken my zipper allowance. I'm not starting it from the center part. I took out 1.5 for my zipper and I'm starting my measurements after the zipper allowance. Okay, so I'll be using 10.5 for my bust measurements. I'm using 10.5. I'll add 2.5 allowance to it. There's 5 allowance. And on the waist, my waist measurement is 37. 37 divided by 4 gives me 9.25. I'll be using 9.5. I'll replace the 1-inch dart. Then I'll take my 2.5 allowance. On the hip line, I'll be taking my hip measurements. I have 42.5 for my hip measurements. Divided by 4. That's 10.6, 10.63. I'll be using 11 inches. I'll be adding 2.5 sewing allowance. So I'm going to connect. I'll be connecting all the points together now. So having done that, having connected it, to avoid the bogginess at the zipper part, I'll move over to the waistline. I'll be going in by 1/2 inch on the waistline. And for the neck design, you can decide to leave yours as a straight neck, but I will prefer to use a U neck for my neck design. I'll be using a U neck. Okay. So I'll then I'll cut it on the on this lining. I will then trace it on the fabric. So this is the back piece. I've cut the fabric. I use the lining to cut the fabric. So I'm going to put everything together. I'm taking only that, just only that on it. I'm going to add my zip, join it to the front piece. I'm going to bring it back to show you the final result of our blouse.